What is up, all of you absolutely amazing and beautiful people? How are you guys doing? Hopefully y'all are doing great out there. Welcome back to Jade's Plants and Bonsai. Thank you all for stopping by, tuning in, and showing your support. Today we have ourselves an epic video as per usual. Some might even call it a banger. It's a great day to be outside working with the plants, and even better, the temperatures are really starting to cool down now, so it's going to be much more enjoyable for me and the plants as well. Beside me I have two very beautiful Dwarf Jade specimens, and I'm sure you read the title. Today, they're going to be receiving a much needed repot. Before we get ahead of ourselves and dive too deep into the video, we have to show our appreciation and give some shoutouts to some very awesome team members. But if you just want to see the video, then I'll leave a timestamp below so that you can just skip ahead. And also, I'm sorry if I accidentally butcher your name, but let's get to the shoutouts. Alright guys, so our first shoutout is going to be going to our man James, and his favorite beverages are Dr. Pepper and water, and I actually really agree with these choices. Dr. Pepper is probably one of, if not my favorite sodas, so great choices there. And along with that, he left some words of encouragement, so I really do appreciate your support, man. You're awesome, and thank you for tuning in. Alright guys, our next shoutout is going to be going to a viewer who is always popping up and always showing his support. We got New York Mets man, and his favorite beverage is unsweetened iced tea. Now I do agree with this, however I do like it sweetened. I'm not too much of an unsweetened person, but iced tea is very refreshing, especially during the summer months. Great choice, my friend. And again, thank you for always showing your support. I always appreciate you popping up in the comments and stuff, so thank you. Our last and final shout out is going to be going to, and I'm sorry for completely butchering this probably, but is it Faribe? I'm sorry if I butchered that, but your favorite drinks are Diet Coke and water. Great choices once again. Personally, not the biggest Diet Coke fan, but I do love me some water. And you also say that it's been 30 years of loving trees. That's insane and that's awesome. That's older than me too. So yeah, thank you for your support. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. Guys, so now that we have the shout outs done, we're gonna jump right into the video and let's go ahead and let's take a look at the plants that we are working with today. Alright guys, so our specimens that we will be working with today will of course be our normal Dwarf Jade right here. And then we also have this very beautiful variegated Dwarf Jade right here. Now both of these plants will be receiving a repot like we previously mentioned, and for pretty much the same reason. They are both retaining too much moisture within the soil, especially this one right here. This one is really struggling. Taking a look at it, the leaves are quite wrinkled, so we definitely need to get that one repotted. This one is also retaining moisture, but not nearly as bad. But let's go ahead and let's individually take a look at both of these plants just so that we know exactly what we're working with. We're starting out with just our regular Dwarf Jade because this is going to be the plant that we repot first. So like I said, this plant is definitely struggling a bit more. The other plant has been able to stabilize and get the leaves back to plumpness, and it's also been able to dry out, whereas this one is still wet. I'll go ahead and grab the moisture meter in a second to show you guys, and I haven't watered it in a few days. And as you can see, it's definitely taking a toll on the plant. The leaves are becoming very wrinkled and very squishy. So that's not exactly good signs. We definitely need to check out what's going on within the soil before it's too late. So here we go, we have the moisture meter stuck in the soil, and you can see it is still quite moist, and it's been a few days since the last time I watered it. Forgot I was supposed to be showing you guys the whole plant, and I wasn't spinning it, so now I will spin it so you guys can see the whole plant. So I'm really hoping that we're able to get this plant to recover because it's one of my favorites, and I just recently pruned it. So it's got a bunch of new growth coming out, so hopefully it's able to survive. This plant has an absolutely beautiful trunk on it, super amazing, definitely one of my favorites. Okay gamers, so on to our variegated Dwarf Jade. This plant is definitely doing a little bit better. So far the soil has been able to dry out. I've just been letting both of these plants dry out, but only this one has actually been able to. And also the leaves are a bit plump still, so that indicates that it is indeed somewhat still healthy versus the other one is definitely not enjoying life. This one was growing quite nice, and then it just all of a sudden decided it wanted to start retaining moisture, and then all the new growth just ceased to exist. But yeah gamers, here's our variegated Jade. Not exactly too much else to see. Another reason that we're repotting this plant though is we have quite a nice little crack in the pot there, so that's not exactly the best. That's not ideal. I think it's time we get to our repotting process, gamers. So of course, our first step in the repotting process is going to be taking our plant out of its current pot and old soil and just taking a look at what is going on underneath and trying to figure out exactly what is going wrong. So as we take it out, it actually doesn't even look that wet, which doesn't really make sense to me. Maybe only the bottom was retaining moisture. Overall, the root ball isn't as soaked as I initially thought it was. I think the issue arises because this is kind of a sandy soil mixture, and so it begins to get compact over time within the middle, and that's where the moisture is seemingly being retained. And so yeah, we're definitely going to want to get it out of this sandy mixture. Sometimes sand mixtures do work in our favor, but a lot of times they create really compact soil, which ends up just retaining a lot of moisture and will end up giving your plant root rot. So I kind of tend to stay away from sand unless it's just a very little amount, at least in my experience. Get it pretty close to bare rooted just because I don't want to risk leaving any of this old soil on that could potentially pose a risk. We just want to give it some fresh, new, fast draining, very well aerating soil. Try and save as many roots as possible while also still taking the soil off. It does have a decent little root ball here, so hopefully it is able to recover after we repot it quite nicely. Okay gamers, so we have probably about 90% of the soil removed from our root ball, which I'm pretty satisfied about. So we are now going to be grabbing our new pot. We aren't upgrading the size just yet, just because it did just go through a struggle period, so we don't want to give it too big of a pot. So we're going to keep it the same size, but a different color to switch it up a little bit. Let me just get our soil mixture, and then we can begin to actually get this thing in its new home. Our soil mixture for today is going to consist mainly of potting soil, along with just some sifted rock, just for some added drainage, and then it also has a little bit of fertilizer in there, just to provide some extra nutrients. So we're going to fill in just a little bit of initial soil, see where that puts our plant at. That could actually probably work. I don't want to plant it too high. I'm going to add just a little bit more soil actually. And once I find the right angle, I'll begin to fill in the rest of our new soil, just like so. Simple as that, gamers. Here is our first plant, all potted up in its brand new pot. Looking good in my opinion. I'm very happy with how it came out. We're going to be leaving this plant in a lot of shade for a few days because we don't want it to get hurt by the sun any more than it already is, especially now that it's just been repotted. So it's going to be quite shocked. We're going to keep it in the shade and we'll water it in a few days. But here is what it is looking like, and of course we'll get better views of it later. But just for now, here it is, gamers. Now we can move on to our next one. Here we have our second and final plant to repot of the video. This one is in a slightly bigger pot. This one is currently in an 8-inch pot. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to put it back into an 8-inch pot, or maybe we'll have to downsize a little bit. It's just going to be based off how the roots look. So yeah, let's get right into it. Once again, we will go ahead and start out by just simply taking our plant out of its current pot. Wow, this pot is actually a lot more cracked than I initially thought. So we're going to gently take it out of its current pot, drop a little bit of soil on the ground. That's just part of the process. And interestingly enough, despite what the moisture meter said, it said this one was completely dry. This one is actually still retaining moisture. Is the moisture meter lying to us? I'm not sure, but I can visually and also clearly tell that this one is still moist. So yeah, this one is not doing the best. I thought it was dry, but I guess not. Still moist, so we're gonna go ahead. And as you can see, most of the soil actually just fell off already. So we're just gonna simply take off most, if not the rest of it completely. Okay guys, so after we have pulled the plant out of its old pot, I have now determined that it would be better and probably a bit safer to put it in something more like a 6-inch pot rather than an 8-inch or 7-inch pot, because this is a much smaller root ball than I was anticipating, and it's even smaller than the first plant we worked with, so we definitely don't want to give it something too big. So we have ourselves this white 6-inch terracotta pot, of course, and now same thing as usual. We're going to start out with some initial soil, and then we'll just go ham from there, gamers. So let's go ahead and let's get our initial soil going here. Again, using the exact same soil mixture, the potting soil with just some sifted rock and fertilizer. So let's go ahead and see if that's enough, or if we should. No, I think we're gonna need a little bit more here because our root ball is just so small. I thought it would be a lot better than that, but I guess this one was actually struggling quite more than I thought. Alright guys, so I have now placed our plant into the pot at a slightly different angle than what it was initially. I think this angle is a little bit nicer. It doesn't look like the plant is just falling over. It's actually looking like it's standing up a little bit. So we're going to plant it at this slightly new angle. This plant has come quite a long way. I got it a pretty long time ago, and for a while it was kind of just neglected and left as an overgrown plant. I didn't really know what to do with it until somewhat recently. I decided to finally give it a hard pruning, and then this is the shape it ended up in. It kind of looks like a boomerang, so I call it the boomerang plant. It doesn't come back around if you try to throw it though, unfortunately, so it's not exactly a boomerang, but it does still look like one, and it might be an alive boomerang. Let's go ahead and let's just add our final scoop of soil here, hopefully. Swish it around, make sure it gets to all sides of our plant, just like that. And then the last thing we are gonna do is just pack down the soil with the chopstick that I have now lost. We have now obtained a chopstick, and we're just gonna simply pack down the soil to make sure and ensure that the soil reaches all of our roots. And this is also just gonna help our plant be a little bit more stabilized and not as wiggly. All right, everyone, so we are now done with our repotting process, and I'm very happy with our finished products. They look quite cool in my opinion. And I'm also glad that we finally were able to get these problems taken care of, so hopefully our plants will do just fine and recover just fine. But I guess only time will tell. But you guys know the deal. It's time to get some clips of what these plants are looking like after their new repotting into their brand new homes. So yeah, gamers, let's go ahead and let's run some clips. Okay, my gamers, so there we have it. That is going to conclude our repotting video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys are satisfied with how the repottings came out. If you are, make sure to let me know. If you're not, make sure to let me know why you're not. And also, if you enjoyed the video, let me know why you enjoyed it. If you didn't, let me know why you didn't. You guys know the deal by now if you're a regular here. I appreciate all of you guys' support, and I hope I've inspired any of you guys who don't have any plants to get yourself a plant, because plants are awesome and life is beautiful. So yeah, gamers, thank you for stopping by and tuning in. All the love. Take care of yourselves out there and have yourselves a beautiful day. Thank you all, and peace.